Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. Today, my guest is Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, a.k.a. the No Crust GSX. How are you today, sir?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Great to have you on. I know you're a shootout regular. I think we've met a few times in person.
Yes, I am. It seems like I can make it every other year is about how often I make it.
That was me for a while, for sure.
Yeah.
It seemed like 1 year, something just came up, and then next year I was fine.
Yeah, about the same. Actually, it seems like I break the car, and then it takes me a year to fix it. So,
Hey, it can be like that.
yes.
Well, Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you, and a little bit about what you drive.
Yeah, so Andrew Gonzalez, the No Crust GSX, probably seen on social media somewhere. It's a 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. We've had it about 8 years. It is my third DSM. Yeah.
Well, you said this is your third DSM. What originally got you into DSMs?
So I think my first one, I had a 1995 GST, and I want to say that was probably 2001-ish, somewhere around that timeline. The standard, kid in high school, just out of high school, and built all kinds of stuff and did all kinds of things on that car that somehow it survived. Trips to Home Depot and making weird valves to see how much boost a 16G can run through a stock motor. And it lived somehow, and ended up selling that car. Got away from it for a little bit. Ended up finding a 97 GSX that we had for a little bit, but growing up and kids and stuff didn't fit. So got rid of it, got into motorcycles for a little bit, and I'm pretty good at putting those down. I can wreck one pretty well. So the wife was not a fan. So when I was itching to get another one, she said, "What if we went back to four wheels instead?" And so we ended up finding this car on Craigslist pretty locally and picked it up. But yeah, my wife and I, we've had them since about 2001. We've had some kind of DSM or been around them. So,
is there anything about the 2G specifically? Is it the Fast and Furious, or is it just one you like better?
I think the body style, maybe. I think it just happened to be the one I lucked into originally.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of my friends had 1Gs. There was a couple of us that had 2Gs. I remember, coming out of high school, there was a bunch of us that had them, and just happened to have a 2G, so I learned on a 2G and just kind of always stuck with it. I am from the Fast and Furious generation, when the original one, when floor plans would fall out of cars when you hit nitrous or whatever. Yeah, so I came from that kind of era. I just always liked the body style. Had two red ones, and just always was trying to find a white 99 black interior one that was fairly stock-ish, and it just appeared on Craigslist. Like dumb luck, it showed up. And it was less than 10 minutes from our house. Well, I don't even know how it happened, but
don't get much time now.
No, it worked out great. I mean, it was a fairly basic car. It had coilovers to 16G, little bigger fuel injector, and that was about it. And we picked it up. The guy didn't really know what he had. He took it in on trade. It was a local repair shop here. And yeah, we just picked it up and kind of been tinkering with it ever since.
Well, is there something that drew you to drag racing this particular DSM?
I mean, we have, well, I guess we had one of the greatest drag strips around, Bandimere Speedway, which is was literally carved into the side of the mountains in Colorado, and I had been going there since a teenager. And we had already had like import drags, or I remember seeing like I don't even know how long ago, long time ago, Brent Rouse white 2G,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on I think white TE37s, and I was like, that's just the car. I just want to run down a track in that car. And I think that's what got me hooked, is seeing that car go down the track at Bandimere along the side of the mountain. It's like, this, I got to do this. So now I built one to drag race and ran down Bandimere. I don't even know how many times. And yeah, just been fun. I always wanted that car, so I've built kind of what in my mind I remember about that car.
For sure.
White on white 2G. So
something about a white 2G just does it for me. I don't know about everybody else listening.
There's just a lot of red ones, and I always wanted a white one. So,
Andrew, let's talk about what's going on under the hood of that 10-second 2G.
So that is long rod 2-liter. It is on a Force Performance 0 turbo, 2150 injectors, 525. Your basic normal bolt-on stuff. Transmissions, a 90 gear set, but otherwise, still a stock transmission. Original TKs, rear diff. It's a fully VIN matched car. The block and trans are the original VIN matched block and transmission. It's done well. I've successfully blown it up a few times, but had it rebuilt after the last shootout. 2 years ago shootout, melted a piston. Took a while to get it back up, but I think now we've probably got 3,000 or 4,000 miles on this motor. Just been driving it, just enjoying the car, just to drive.
All right, Andrew. So what are you doing with the manual trans? What clutch and all that good stuff are you running?
So it's a 90 gear set, 4-spider center diff. It was built by Jax. I'm running a competition clutch twin disc. I feel like that's about as strong as I could get without going to like a dog box or something. And I really like keeping the car, I'm going to call it OEM plus streetable street car. I know I think there's some people that are developing some more gear sets for it, but right now that's what's in it. We keep it pretty turned down. Because I think we've shredded third or fourth gear a few times. My wife was roll racing it and shredded fourth gear. So we keep it conservative driving it around.
Plus, going up from where you are to the dog box summit is, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's a big jump. It's just not something like I like to be able to drive it. Like,
right.
I went out with, so for Father's Day, there was like a little rally planned, and it was a bunch of like Porsche GT3s and some Lambos and McLarens and stuff. And, it's fun to just be in the canyons with those type of cars and have them basically slow me up because they can't go fast enough. I like doing that kind of stuff now. It's fun.
So as far as suspension, tires, weight savings, what all have you done to the car, outside of the engine and trans in order to make the 10s possible?
So I've always liked the idea of competing in stock appearing class at the shootout. So it's a full interior, like all original interior. Weight savings, we really haven't done much of anything other than pulled out power steering, went to electric power steering, no air conditioning. Wheels or Evo wheels. We did CTSV fronts, Evo 8 rears. But otherwise, it's kind of stockish as it could be, I guess. I just like the idea of the stock appearing class at the shootout, which I know now you can do manifolds and stuff, intake manifolds, as long as they're cast. I just like the idea of it's close to stock.
Yeah, I love that as well. Even though, the FP0 is, you can get it for the DSMs now. It's still really hard for the DSMs to compete with the Evos in that class. But even still, I really love it.
Yeah, pretty outgunned in that class with the Evos, but it's still fun to compete, and it's still, you have to be, now for stock comparing, you kind of need to be running low 9s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I like the concept of that class. It fits with what my idea of like having the car for so long. My idea of it's it's not a drag car. It's not caged. It's a street car that I can drag race. Is kind of what it is.
That's perfect for a 2G, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, who tunes the car, and what are you doing about engine management?
So it's on DSM Link. It is tuned by Kenny Klein, just a tune. I think he's been on here. Yeah, he's done all the tuning since Colorado we unfortunately have emission laws. So since back to when I couldn't get the thing to pass emissions, he jumped in. We tuned it on E85 and passed emissions. So it's like truly street legal street car tuned by him. It's on a flex sensor. So my plan is to drive to the shootout this year. No truck, no trailer. Drive the car to the shootout from Colorado. And I thought hopefully flex works well. I don't know how readily available E85 is on the way, but I won't need it. So we should be good.
Andrew, I would imagine, myself being one of them, but there are a lot of people out there who just want to get their DSM or Evo into the 10s. I want to talk to you about going through some of the biggest hurdles from getting from the 11s down into the 10s.
I think probably, first thing on all of these cars is probably to start with maintenance. Find anything that's been neglected, fix it. And honestly, the short track is where all the time. So for me, it was learning how to properly let out a clutch and how to hit gear shifts, first, second gear. Because most of the time, if you're trying to push that, you're probably making pretty decent power. You can push out the backside of the track pretty well. But most of the time that you're looking for to get lower ETs is that first half of the track, 60 foot, that area. It's really a lot of it could be driver, especially in a manual. If you're in a manual, learning how to really use that clutch to your benefit and how to slip a clutch and get that time to get where you're looking for. Because I sat at 11.2, 11.5 for a long time before I finally made a 10-second pass. And I think it was just driver. And actually, I made that pass on an older setup on a smaller turbo. So that was on an FP Black.
Andrew, inevitably doing this, you're going to have some mechanical failures. Have you had any mechanical failures during a pass at the track?
So let's see. First year I went to the shootout, snapped an axle on my 1-2 shift. But fortunately, the shootout's the greatest place on earth to do that because everybody's so helpful. And Jack's transmission was there. They had built the transmission, and I had broke off the end of the shaft. So the passenger side with the snap ring in it, I broke off the end inside the transmission. Fortunately, Jack's is there. People are there. Everybody's willing to come help. Knock that out. We're at the shootout, right? There's an actual shaft there. So was able to get it back together, fixed. I lifted ahead. I torched ahead at the shootout, and Chris from the Indiana Diamond Star people, all that crew that shows up. Chris from there, him and I swapped valve springs, all kinds of stuff into a different head at the shootout under an awning in the parking lot, put it back together. And then the last shootout run melted a piston. So stuff happens. What are you gonna do?
Wouldn't be exciting if it wasn't for that, right?
I mean, honestly, because I think all of my engine stuff has happened at the shootout. There's no better place for that to happen because at least everybody that's there is super helpful and supportive, and the knowledge is like you wouldn't believe. So the only other place to get that is you'd have to jump on like DSM tuners, but you have like live DSM tuners there, and everybody you could just ask anybody any question. They're just right there.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, so walk us through a typical race day from the time you unload to the time that you go up the staging lanes. What happens?
So typically, I mean, unloading, I set up some awnings and stuff. Tire pressures, check tune. That's about it. And then head down to the track, get teched in, make sure fluids are good. I mean, for always checking, make sure you got correct fluids in your car. Hopefully everybody that's going on the track has water in their car, not coolant, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and just go make a pass. And then post pass, I send after I make a pass, I send my log off to Kenny so he can look at it and see if we need to make any changes or anything, and kind of review, what I did, good, bad. Generally, that's all off the line.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's a pretty simple process, especially if you've never raced a car down a drag strip. It's a pretty, everybody's there always to help. I don't like, because I raced a Bandamere, and a lot of it's like old school V8 muscle car guys, but they're still like they're still super helpful. Like my first time, even the people at the track, like how do you stage and how do you get in the lights? That's always, I think that's most people's main concern when you go to a drag strip is like the lights, like what happens with the lights. Everybody at the track's super helpful with that kind of stuff to make sure you have a good day and you have fun, so you come back.
It does seem like everybody at the drag strip is family, no matter what you drive.
Yeah, that is the nice part about my whole time going to the drag strip. Like, no matter the car, if you're there racing, everybody's supportive. I realize that, people talk trash to each other or whatever, but at the end of the day, they're all racers, and everybody wants to see everybody do well.
Yeah.
And they're there to help.
For sure. Well, Andrew, would you say that your PB is your most memorable pass, or is there another one in your mind that stands out to you as your most memorable pass?
I don't know if I have a most memorable one. I've made kind of a lot, and there's not a ton that stick out because they all feel fairly similar. And I've made a lot at different places. Like I've taken the car a lot of places.
Yeah.
Vegas, Kansas, Colorado, obviously Ohio.
Yeah.
They're all similar. I mean, the passes that are fun are when you go up against a car that is really fast,
mm-hmm.
or that you've seen race before and you get to go up against it. Like those passes are fun. You get to do that a little more at the shootout, but even like some local ones I've done where you go up against the car and like, wow, I can't believe I'm about to race this car. And then you beat that car and like, holy cow, I can't believe I just beat that car. Stuff like that I've always remembered. I still remember my first pass at the shootout in stock appearing. I went up against a white Evo, and unfortunately I can't remember the guy's name. But he's like, oh, I just pulled this out of my barn. It's all dusty and there's spider webs all over it. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. And he pops the hood, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's not lying. There are spider webs in here. And then we go make a pass, and he clicked off like a 9.6, and I was like, holy cow. That pass was pretty memorable because I was like, dang, like all of these cars here are like that, where it's like you have no clue what you're about to go up against.
Yeah.
That pass was pretty cool because then it's like, wow, because I didn't go to my first shootout until 2018.
Oh, no,
so
yes.
Yeah, so I hadn't, like, you always hear about it, but for me, it's kind of far. Like from Colorado to there, it takes us 2 days to get there, so it's far. So I'd never been. So that was my first real time at the shootout, seeing the shootout.
Mhm.
And that was the first pass. I was like, holy moly, I'm here. And that dude just ran a 9.6 next to me in what I'm going to call a stock car. Like, what is that? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel you. I used to drive the shootout drive from the Oklahoma-Texas line, and people would be like, oh, man, it was like a 5-hour drive for me. I hate it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, you drove how far? I was like, yeah. Well, then there's California people that come up and like, those people drove even farther. So
Shout out to Frank and Ronnie Grant, all those guys doing it all the way from Cali.
Yeah, that's crazy. But hey, if people that haven't been to the shootout, like, you need to go.
Right. And that's what I try to tell people. Even if you're not going to drive or bring your car, just fly into Cleveland, rent a car, do something, get there.
And show up on Thursday and do the poker run.
Yep. We're advocating for the other Andrew right now. Poker run.
I hope so. He's my buddy on the poker run. He saved my butt, actually, because I lifted ahead, not on the poker run, but maybe like 2 minutes after the poker run, leaving the winery. And I was like, bro, so are you nearby? Because I'm in a church parking lot, and I definitely just blew a head gasket. So fortunately, he was able to come pick me up, go get a trailer, and bring it back to the hotel and start swapping head gasket in. But
such a good guy.
Yeah, that whole crew out of Indiana is really the reason that I love the shootout.
Yeah, 100%. Those are Club Diamond Star, great guys. Shout out to all of them.
Yep.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Kigley Racing. Kigley Racing is home to the world's quickest and fastest front-wheel drive Mitsubishi. Kigley Racing produces the original 4G63 Beehive valve spring and other exclusive race-proven 4G63 engine and drivetrain components for the DSM and Evo. Kigley's only acceptable quality outcome is the most reliable and highest performing parts and systems on the market. They have been a pioneer in the Mitsubishi performance community for nearly 30 years. They have what you need to make your Mitsubishi fast as well as reliable. Check out all their products at KigleyRacing.com.
Andrew, have you ever had like a sketchy moment? You talked about breaking that axle. Was that one of those ones where you could shut it down right away, or was it pulling towards one side or the other?
Fortunately, it didn't pull. It snapped. I lost all the power. I immediately just pulled right off the track. I'm not even sure I made it. I made it just past the 60-foot mark, pulled it off to the side. Leaked a little trans fluid, but I was out of the line, so I haven't really had, fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had anything crazy happen, fortunately.
Good. That's
what and I hope not to.
Yeah, for sure. Don't want that experience.
No.
Andrew, I don't think it's any secret that DSMs are notorious for being temperamental. What has your relationship been like for the reliability side of things with this 2G?
I would say not the best, but that's probably pretty self-inflicted. I'm trying to change that. So this build this year, I'm going to say I'm going backwards, but to me, I'm going forwards. Probably slow down the car. Just enjoy driving it. I like going to Cars and Coffee. I like doing mountain cruises. I like getting the car out, because every time like go out, people are like, holy cow, I haven't seen one of these in forever. It's because a lot of them are either drag cars or they're on jack stands. So I like taking it out, because usually if I go to these events, there'll be hundreds of cars and I'm typically the only DSM. And now we're to the point where like there was a time where like Skyline, R32s, R33s, now R34s were like the rarest thing ever. And now I'll go to Cars and Coffee meets and car shows and stuff, and there'll be 20, 25 of them there. And I'm the only DSM. Like, it's almost guaranteed. So I'm trying to bring the reliability back to it. That's what I plan on, driving it to the shootout, make some easy passes, and drive it back. That's the goal, is to make it a little more reliable. I mean, they were reliable. We just made them not reliable. We kind of self-inflicted this. The transmissions were built to hold 200 horsepower, not 200 horsepower per cylinder. Like, it's not really how they were made. So hopefully I can pull it off, drive it, make some passes, drive it back. so far I've been driving it a bunch, and it's been doing great.
I always say that the only feeling better than getting a PB is being able to drive back home to the trailer.
Correct. Yeah, I would like to be able to drive not just to the trailer, but all the way home.
Well, Andrew, I think it's also no secret that DSMs have a huge cult following. How has the community impacted your journey with this car?
Yeah, I think that's probably actually what's kept me in it is the community. I kind of lost interest in it actually probably a couple of years ago. Some people might have seen the car listed for sale. So I put it up for sale a couple of years ago because I kind of lost interest. But then as you see, like fortunately, there's still people that are posting on YouTube, and there are still people updating their build threads on DSM tuners and that kind of stuff. I was like, maybe I should build it back up, make it reliable, and actually just drive the thing. And I think it's the community that drove that, because there are still a lot of people that still support it, are still building them, are still making parts for them, developing better parts for them. So I think the community is the reason actually I'm still in it. Otherwise, I probably would have stepped out and maybe moved to something like a Porsche or something. But they're just fun, and the community's just great around it. I mean, because if you have questions, like somebody's probably been there because they've been around a long time. So it's kind of nice that somebody probably has an answer for your question somewhere.
Right. Somewhere there's a tuner's thread that has exactly the information you're looking for.
100%.
Well, Andrew, over your years of owning this and the multiple mods and upgrades that you've done, in your opinion, what is the most underrated mod or hack you think that every DSM drag racer should know about?
Man, I don't know. I would say you don't need a massive turbo. You can call Robert at Force Performance and get a normal sized turbo and have a ton of fun with the car. The greatest thing I've done to the car so far actually was putting electric power steering in it. I took power steering out and went to a manual depowered rack for a while, and I put power steering back in it over last winter. I went Volvo conversion, electric power steering, and that's been the best thing I've ever done. I forgot what power steering felt like in that car, so it's been quite nice. But I'd say, stay conservative on your turbo, make your engine last, and just enjoy driving the things. I know a lot of people want to race them, but they're a hell of a car to just drive. I mean, they handle great, comfortable. They're a great car.
I think the comfortability of the 2G kind of goes unnoticed because we're all too quick to swap in some NRGs or what have you when the factory seats are just so nice.
Yeah, so this has Evo 9 seats, which give a little more in the turns, but they're not race seats, but they're
Right.
Recaro still, and they're pretty comfortable. I mean, they do well.
Well, Andrew, you talked about turning the car down and taking it back a little bit. But what's next for the build, or are there any short-term goals that you want to hit?
Really the only goal currently is to drive to the shootout, make a couple of passes, and drive it back. I don't have any plans to do much more to the car. I kind of like where it's at. I like the idea of the OEM plus idea. I like being able to just drive it. I like if I want to just drive it to the grocery store, I can. If I want to go daily it for a little bit, I can. If I want to go take it to a car show, I can do that. If I want to go drag race it, I could go do that. If I want to go do a road course, I could do that too. So I like to being able to just drive the thing. I don't have really anything next for it other than if anybody has an Evo 9 steering wheel that's like mint, let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably kind of leave it as it is right now.
Definitely don't think anything's wrong with that. I think we hear on this podcast a lot about people who have built, maybe, I don't know if overbuilt is the right word, but their car is a race car now, and they miss when it was a street car.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too, especially when I'm out and people, they can't take their DSM out because it's gone too far past, it's no longer a streetable car. When they're like, dang, I should have stopped at X spot and just left it there just so I could drive it. I do run into a lot of people that are like that. They wish they could just drive their car.
So, Andrew, like I said, you've been into these cars for a very long time. What advice would you give someone who's just getting started in their DSM drag racing journey?
I would say the most important thing on these cars is to do the maintenance on them before you start throwing fuel systems at them and turbos, and make sure the car is maintained. Do all the maintenance on the car, really look over the car, and then start modifying it. And then if you have a drag strip near you, take it out. Just get used to taking the car out to a drag strip. I mean, if it's all-wheel drive, they're a little bit different to launch. They take a little some tricks with the clutch, unless you're an automatic. Yeah, I would say do your maintenance and just enjoy the car. Just get out, drive it, go drag race it, and have fun. And obviously, taking to the track, everybody's like, "Oh, DSM! I haven't seen one of those forever." Because unless you go to the shootout, you don't see them everywhere.
That's becoming more and more true. So, Andrew, are there any events that you plan to attend this year with your car that we can see it in action?
So I think for sure DSM shootout. That's really the only event solidly planned. I would really like to do a rally with the car, something of some distance, some LA to Denver, LA to Chicago, Chicago to LA, Chicago to Florida. I don't know, some kind of rally with the car. I think would be cool. I think it'd be fun to just cruise it across the country. Is kind of what I would like to do with the car. It's no hypercar or supercar, and it's no Lambo or Ferrari or something. But honestly, it might be more rare on one of those than one of those cars. So,
probably right there.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to do something like that. But definitely be at the shootout. Unfortunately, there's Colorado where we have Pueblo Motorsports Park is about it. Fortunately, the Vandermeer family did purchase some land, so it looks like we'll get a drag strip again, but it'll probably be a few years away. So we kind of got to travel to do another kind of drag event.
It'd be cool to do what our buddy Troy's doing and make every state in one of these things.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Andrew, I added this little part, just for fun. Is there anybody that you want to call out this season, line up next to or try to get them on the list?
I used to want to race Andrew Welling, but his car got too fast, and my car's going to get slower, so I'm not calling him out anymore.
You never know in drag racing. Anything can happen.
That is true. That is true. I did watch him send pieces of turbo through his firewall, so you never know what could happen. But no, honestly, everybody I've lined up with, it's always been cool to look over and be like, oh, wow, I can't believe I'm racing that guy. So nobody really want to call out. Anybody's welcome to call me out, but you'll probably win because I'm going to take it easy. So.
Well, is there where can people find and follow you on social media, Andrew, so they can see some more of the original No Crust GSX?
No Crust GSX on pretty much every platform there is. I haven't done any YouTube videos in a while, but I'll get back to that shortly because I'll probably do a preview of going to the shootout. I'll probably overview what changed the car, and then it was kind of fun. I think a few years ago I did like a daily vlog style at the shootout, so I might do that again this year on the YouTube. But mostly I'm most active on Instagram. But No Crust GSX on pretty much every platform there is.
I don't know if Chris wants me to mention it or not, but there is a DSM Tuners trophy for whoever has the best coverage of the shootout.
Ah, okay. Well,
shooting for that.
Yeah, the plan was to, without even knowing that part, was to probably do some kind of daily again. I really would like to see people on the poker run. Get out to the poker run. It's probably the most fun part of the shootout, and I don't know if people get there early enough to even know it happens,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's the most fun part of the shootout. Like driving around Ohio, and at every turn is a DSM or an Evo or a GTR or a Supra or
Mm-hmm.
somebody in a rental car with a camera out the window taking pictures of all these cars. Like,
Right. The rollers.
yeah, 100%. It's just,
It's also
just cool.
it's the only part of the weekend that can't be delayed because someone broke down and oiled down the track. Can't be delayed because of the weather. So it's happening no matter what.
Yeah, it's all, and I mean, it's you just run into, it's cool to get to chat with people and run into people, and you stop by some great places. I haven't seen the list yet, but I'm sure there'll be some of the wineries or ice cream or who knows what, but
It's just places that you would never stop by otherwise.
you wouldn't even know that we're in the middle of Ohio, and you're like, wow, this place is awesome.
Yeah. Andrew, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them get where they are, get their car where it is. Is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Kenny Klein for doing the tuning. Robert at Force Performance has been very patient with me and provided many turbo rebuilds. So Force Performance has always been super helpful to the car, Robert especially. And Jack's Transmissions has always been super helpful on my transmissions also. It helps that Jack's from me is like 25 minutes away. So it helps. I can just, throw the transmission in the back of the truck or T-case and run it down there. But those people have been super helpful on the car.
Well, good deal. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and tell your story. I wish you obviously the best of luck, but most of all, I can't wait to see you at the poker run here in just a couple months. Yes, sir. See you then.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.